Think of the person you despise the most. Their arrogance, their laziness, their stupidity. You see them as the problem, as the enemy. What if I told you that everything you hate about them is a secret you're keeping from yourself? The great psychologist Carl Jung's most disturbing discovery was not about others. It was about you. This is not a philosophy lesson. This is a survival guide for the most dangerous territory on earth, your own mind. You are about to learn a 3-step method to disarm the people you hate by discovering the weapon they are secretly using against you, your own reflection. Let's begin with a familiar scene, the battlefield of the modern office. There is a coworker. Let's call him Lazy Tom. Tom does the bare minimum. He takes long lunches. He leaves early. While you are working late, grinding to meet deadlines, he is coasting, and it fills you with a righteous, burning anger. You despise his lack of work ethic. You see him as everything that is wrong with the world. Your hatred for him is clear, pure, and in your mind, completely justified. This feeling of certainty is the trap. Jung discovered a powerful defense mechanism of the human mind, a strategic weapon your ego uses to protect itself. It's called projection. Your mind knows that a civil war is the most costly and difficult war to win. So, to avoid an internal conflict, it takes the parts of yourself that you find unacceptable, your own hidden laziness, your own secret arrogance, your own disowned weakness, and it projects them outward onto a convenient screen, onto Lazy Tom. You are not just angry at Tom. You are at war with a disowned part of yourself, but you have cleverly outsourced the battle so you don't have to face the real enemy. This is why the anger feels so intense, so personal, so nuclear. It is not a rational assessment of Tom's work ethic. It is an exorcism, and it is draining all of your power. Today, we turn you from a soldier in this pointless war into a spy master. We will begin a 3-step deprogramming process to reclaim the power you have been giving away. Step 1. Identify the emotional charge. Step 2. Locate the hidden mirror. Step 3. Reclaim the disowned weapon. The first step is to become a detective of your own emotions. The enemy's primary tactic, your mind's tactic, is not subtle. It is a massive, disproportionate emotional explosion. This is what Jungians call an emotional charge. It is the difference between a simple thought and a burning obsession. You can rationally dislike someone's inefficiency. That's a thought. But when you find yourself replaying conversations with them in your head while you're in the shower, when you complain about them to your partner every single night, when their very presence in a room makes your jaw clench, that is not a thought. That is an emotional charge. This charge is a flare, shot up from the dark territory of your unconscious mind. It is a signal. It is screaming, "Pay attention. This is not about them. This is about you." The average person misses this signal completely. They get lost in the drama of the anger. They believe the story that the emotion is telling them. Tom is lazy, and I am right to be angry. The strategist, the student of Jung, does not get lost in the story. They analyze the signal. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Carl Jung. Consider Sarah, a highly successful entrepreneur. She is ruthless in her efficiency. Her entire life is optimized for productivity. But she has a friend, Jessica, who is the opposite. Jessica is a free spirit. She is often late. She changes her plans on a whim. She follows her creative impulses. Sarah loves Jessica, but she is also constantly, intensely irritated by her. She sees Jessica's lack of discipline as a moral failing. This irritation consumes their conversations. It is a constant point of tension. Sarah believes she is trying to help Jessica become more responsible, but the intensity of her emotion is the signal. It is the flare. Your first counter tactic is to practice strategic detachment. The next time you feel that intense, irrational anger or irritation towards someone, your mission is not to suppress it or express it. It is to observe it like a scientist. Stop and say to yourself, interesting. A 9 out of 10 emotional charge has been detected in response to subject A's behavior. You are not denying the feeling. You are stepping outside of it. You are shifting from being a prisoner of the emotion to being the analyst of the data. This simple act of observation is the first step in disarming the bomb. You have learned to spot the signal. You are no longer a blind soldier, lost in the fog of your own rage. You are the analyst, the spy master, who sees the emotional flare and understands it is a message in code. You have identified the charge. Now, you must learn to decipher the message. This requires an act of supreme intellectual courage. It requires you to turn your analytical gaze away from the enemy and point it directly at yourself. The second step is the most brutal. It is the core of Jung's most disturbing truth. The person you despise is a mirror. The specific trait that creates the emotional charge in you is a direct reflection of a part of yourself that you have denied, repressed, and locked away in the dungeon of your psyche. This is the shadow. Your ego, the part of you that wants to be seen as a good person, cannot tolerate the idea that you might be lazy or arrogant or stupid. So it takes those traits and throws them into the shadow. But they do not die there. They live on, and your mind, in a desperate attempt to deal with them, projects them onto the outside world. It finds a person who exhibits that trait, even in a small way, and turns them into a monster. You are not fighting the person. You are fighting your own rejected reflection. This is why your reaction is so violent. It is the violence of self-hatred, cleverly disguised as righteous judgment of another. When you scream at the arrogant politician on TV, you are screaming at your own secret, repressed ambition and desire for importance. When you rage at the lazy coworker, you are raging at the part of you that craves rest. the part you have brutally suppressed in your own relentless drive for success. You hate them because they are acting out a part of your own soul that you have refused to acknowledge. Projection is one of the commonest psychic phenomena. Everything that is unconscious in ourselves, we discover in our neighbor, and we treat him accordingly. Carl Jung. Let's return to Sarah and her flaky friend Jessica. Sarah performs the strategic detachment. She notes her 9/10 irritation. Now, she takes the next step. She asks the brutal question, where in my own life am I flaky? Where do I lack discipline? At first, her ego screams, nowhere. I am the opposite of that. But she pushes past it. She realizes she is incredibly disciplined in her career. But in her personal life, she constantly cancels plans with friends because a work thing came up. She has a dozen creative projects she started with passion but abandoned. She sees that she is not flaky with her schedule, but she is flaky with her own soul. The anger she feels toward Jessica is the anger of her own neglected, creative self, screaming to be free from her rigid control. Your second counter tactic is to ask the unflinching question. When you have identified the emotional charge and the specific trait that caused it, you must find a quiet moment and ask yourself, with brutal honesty, where and how do I exhibit this exact same trait, even in a 1% capacity? Your ego will fight you. It will rationalize. It will deny. Your job is to be the relentless interrogator who does not accept the first answer. Look for the evidence. The truth will be painful, and it will set you free. You are now deep behind enemy lines. You have discovered that the enemy command center is inside your own headquarters. This is the work that separates the child from the adult. If you have the courage to look in the mirror and ask the hard questions, write, I own my shadow in the comments. Let's see who is brave enough to face the reflection. You have identified the emotional charge. You have located the hidden mirror and found your own reflection in the face of your enemy. You have done the brutally honest work of seeing your own disowned traits. The war is almost over. The final step is not a battle. It is a peace treaty. It is the act of bringing your exiled soldier home. The third and final step is integration. You have discovered, to your horror, that you contain the very thing you despise. The old you would react with more self-hatred, with more suppression. This would only strengthen the projection. The new you, the strategist, does something radical. You accept it. Acceptance is not endorsement. You do not have to become a lazy person to integrate your own repressed desire for rest. You do not have to become an arrogant monster to integrate your own ambition. Integration is the act of consciously acknowledging the trait and then finding a healthy, productive use for its energy. Every sin is just a virtue taken to an extreme or used unconsciously. The laziness you hate in others is a reflection of your own need for rest and play. By accepting this, you can consciously schedule downtime, preventing burnout instead of driving yourself to exhaustion and then judging others for resting. The arrogance you despise is the shadow form of your own healthy ambition and self-worth. By owning it, you can use that energy to confidently ask for a raise or lead a project, instead of seething with envy at those who do. You are taking the raw, primitive energy of the shadow and giving it a job. You are turning a terrorist into a special forces operative, working for you, under your conscious command. The moment you do this, the projection dissolves. The person who once drove you into a rage is suddenly just a person. They no longer have any power over you, because the hook upon which your projection was hanging has been removed. You have taken your power back. For years you have acted as a judge, condemning the world for its flaws. You believed your anger was a sign of your high standards, but you were not a judge. You were a haunted house, projecting its ghosts onto every passerby. The great, disturbing, and ultimately liberating truth is this: the world is not your problem. The world is your diagnostic tool. It is a feedback system, relentlessly showing you the parts of yourself you have refused to heal. This is the path to psychological freedom. It is not about changing other people. It is about using them to change yourself. This is your new code. Detect the charge. Treat intense, irrational emotion not as a judgment, but as a data point, a signal that a projection is active. Find the reflection. Ask the unflinching question: how am I also this? Hunt for the evidence of the hated trait within yourself, no matter how small. Integrate the energy. Acknowledge the disowned part. Find a conscious, healthy, and productive channel for its raw energy. Give it a job. The world is full of angry, reactive people, constantly at war with the reflections of their own unwound selves. They are prisoners in a hall of mirrors, and they don't even know it. You now have the key. You have the map to walk out of that hall and into the clear light of self-awareness. The power of the people you hate is the power you have given them. Are you ready to take it back? If you are ready to stop fighting the mirror and start owning the reflection, write, "I take my power back" in the comments below. Welcome to the real world. Subscribe to the Thinker's Codex. Your training has just begun.